Amen. Now, God sort of dropped a message in my heart this morning, and it has stayed with me, and I keep trying to get away from it, but God keeps bringing me back to it. And we talked a little bit about it this morning at the early 8 a.m. service. And I thought that God might want to take me to another place, in another direction, and he continues to speak the same word to me. So I'm going to continue in this vein. And it was a simple message this morning. It was one simply of, hold on, don't quit. It was just that simple. I initially heard it in a song. And the song they were singing, the psalmist was singing, hold on, don't quit, God can handle it. It says, hold on, don't quit, it's only a test. And it starts saying, basically, that if we would just endure. So, and I was thinking, and he said, sometimes many of us, we find ourselves in life storms. And in those times when trouble seems to be on every side, and we can't find our way, it looks dark, he began to say, that is not the time for you to throw up your hands and quit. It's times like that where you need to recall and remember that God is on your side. See, the psalmist had it right when she said, hold on, don't quit, God's on your side. You see, that ought to give you some encouragement that if God is for me, then I don't need to worry about anything man can do. Because if God be for me, who can be against me? Who can stand against me? And the scriptures tell us plainly, this I know, that God is for me. We can take comfort in the knowledge that we have a God who is concerned about us. But he tells us in Galatians, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse, I just need this one verse. It says, and let us not be weary in well-doing. For in due season we shall reap if we faint not. See, it began to let us know that we can't faint, we can't stop, we can't quit, we can't give up. Whatever you are doing, that's God told you to do, he says, don't quit. I don't care how it looks. I don't care how bleak it looks. He says, if God told you to do it, don't quit. You see, if you quit, you know you can't win. The minister this morning, she read a wonderful scripture in reading Ecclesiastes, the 11th chapter and the 6th verse. It said so much. And when she read it, God said, that's it. If you look at Ecclesiastes, the 11th chapter, in that 6th verse again, it says, in the morning, sow thy seed, and in the evening, withhold not thine hand. For thou knowest not whether shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. He starts saying, don't stop. He says, you don't know which one's going to be successful, which one's going to prosper, which effort God's going to bless. He said, just keep doing what I told you to do. Don't you, child, I've been doing this. I don't see any results yet. He says, keep doing it until I tell you to stop. If I don't tell you to do something else, do what I told you to do. Don't quit. I mean, think about for a moment that gold miner who went out there to mine some gold. And they worked in a particular mine. They were hammering. And they spent a long time doing it. And they were days and weeks and months at this. And after a while, he said, you know, it don't look like I'm getting anywhere, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to give it up because I'm not having the success that I thought I would have by now. I thought I would be further along. I thought I would have already found some gold. I thought I would be rich by now. So I'm going to stop. Someone who's new to the scene comes and says, you stopping? Can I pick up where you left off? He says, I didn't find anything. You ain't going to find nothing. Go right ahead on. And the other person who started right where he left off, as soon as he strikes, he hits gold. He says, some of you are just that close. And he's saying, hold on, don't quit. You got to be willing to endure until the end. You can't get weary in your well-doing. He says, when the time is right, in due season, you shall reap if you faint not. Don't throw your hands up and say, that's it. I can't take no more. I mean, I know situations and circumstances in life will sometimes make you want to throw up your hands. There was a song way back in the day that says, make you want to holler, throw up your hands. You know, basically scream that I can't believe this is going on. I can't believe I'm still here. I can't believe I'm still dealing with this. I can't believe all these troubles have come and found me. And God says, hold on. Don't quit. Now, this morning, we were talking about Ruth. See, we've been talking about Ruth a lot. Ruth and Naomi, they seem to be, you know, some women of God, since this is Women's History Month, that God really wants us to sink down into our soul and spirits and minds. But we were talking about Ruth this morning. And we looked at Naomi. Now, Naomi is the elder of the two. Naomi had a husband, Elimelech. And then she had two sons, Mahlon and Chilion. Now, a famine arose in the land of Israel. And Naomi, along with her husband and two sons, said, there's bread and there's food over in Moab. We're going to go to Moab until this famine gets better. So now she leaves with her husband and two sons. In the words of Naomi, when she left, she was full. Naomi went to Moab. Her sons married two women of Moab. Chilion married Oprah, or Orpah is her name. And Mahlon married Ruth. Now, in the scriptures, after the passage of time, Elimelech died. So now Naomi is a widow, but she has some comfort. She says, I got my 2 sons and their families. They're going to take care of me. I'm still okay. Then both of the sons die. Now here we have Naomi, who's basically her husband's gone. Her sons, who she was looking on to take care of her, once her husband departed, they are now gone, and all she's left with 2 daughter-in-laws. And during that particular day and that time, the women, I'm not going to say they didn't work, because all of our women who are homemakers or stay-at-home mothers, they will tell you that's work. They just worked inside the home rather than outside the home. So, but because they only worked inside the home, they didn't have a job that produced income or wealth to the household. So she's wondering, I don't know how we going to take care of and support ourselves. So Naomi, she gets the notion of saying, I'm going to go back to Israel, to my people. I've been hanging out here in Moab, but I'm going back to Israel. Now you understand, God is orchestrating all of this. Naomi doesn't understand. She doesn't see. All she knows is trouble has come my way. Things look bleak. Life has gotten hard and difficult for me. I'm going through. She tells her 2 daughter-in-laws, look, y'all don't need to spend time with me. I don't have any more sons for you to marry. And if I could produce another child, you wouldn't wait around for them to grow up to marry you. So I'm going to release you from any kind of obligation you may have towards me, so that you can go on and maybe find somebody else for yourself. Orpah says to her after a while, after they first protested and said, no, don't bid us to go. Finally, Orpah said, okay, I'm going to go on back to my family. Thank you, mother-in-law. You've been wonderful. But since you released me, I'm going to go. Now she's just left with Ruth, and she looks at Ruth and she says, you might as well go too, honey. And Ruth says, stop trying to get me to leave. In other words, in the words of that song that they used to sing, and I'm telling you, I'm not going. I mean, she started to sing that in a way to make it plain to Naomi, I'm not going nowhere. She's saying, wherever you go, I'm going to go. Wherever you stay, I'm going to stay. Your people going to be my people. Then she said, your God is going to be my God. Whatever I thought I had going on in Moab, I'm giving all that up. I'm going to be loyal to you and faithful to your God. And I'm going with you. And see, Naomi still hasn't realized that God is at work in all of this. Because God had to get Ruth from Moab back to Israel. Because he had a divine connection and hookup that had to be made. And all Naomi sees is that I'm going through. When Naomi first gets back to Israel, everybody says, oh, look, it's Naomi. Now, Naomi is one of those names that means my joy. So they see Naomi, they singing her name, Naomi, because it's my joy. And Naomi said, why are you calling me that? She's gotten bitter now because of all she's gone through. She said, when I left here, I was full. I had my husband and my sons with me. I done lost my husband and both my boys. Don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara, meaning bitter and sorrowful. Because God has dealt harshly with me. And she didn't understand that God was at work, that it was only a test, that she had to hold on. He was setting her up for a greater blessing. See, many times we can't see it. All we know is we going through our go-through. I heard one prominent individual say, he said, if you're going through hell, he says, keep going, don't stop. Because if you're going through hell, as long as you don't stop there, you'll come out after a while. Things are going to get better. To put it in the words that we oftentimes hear the preachers say, they say, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. God starts saying, if you just hold on in the dark hours, at midnight, the morning is still coming. It's going to be a better day, a brighter day, if you just hold on. See, Naomi still hadn't realized that all of this dark season was setting her up for a brighter day. She's talking to Ruth, and she's saying, God has dealt harshly with me. But she went back and she let Ruth be with her. And Ruth now is being faithful to her mother-in-law. She's taking care of her mother-in-law. She's learning the customs and the traditions of the Israelites. She realized that they had a tradition which basically said that if there is a landowner who has a crop, right? And the landowner plants his crop, plants the field and grows his crop, and it's harvest time. They could go out and harvest it as much as they could the first time around. But then it said, don't go back. Leave what we call the gleanings, the leftovers. He said, leave that for the poor. Don't try to take it all. Leave something for the poor to be able to come behind and maybe find something, a little something to sustain them and get them on over. So Ruth said, I'm going to go and find a field. And I'm going to glean and try to get some food for myself and my mother-in-law to sustain us. Because I know my mother-in-law is not working. We don't have no man to look after us. Husband's gone. My husband's gone. My father-in-law's gone in Ruth's mind. She said, don't have a man. It's just me and my mother-in-law. So I'm going to go out here and I'm going to glean. So she went out there to work in the fields. And the scriptures tell us that she just happened on a field. By chance, by circumstance, she happened on a field that belonged to Boaz. Now, it just so happened that Boaz was a near kinsman, someone who's related to the family. Ruth didn't know this. She didn't have an understanding. Still hasn't realized that God is orchestrating it all. So now she's out there working. Boaz sees her working. Starts asking the folk, who is this young woman? Who is this damsel working in the field so diligently. They said she been here since early this morning. Hard at work, diligently out there gleaning, because she's doing it for herself and her mother-in-law. And they begin to tell Boaz her story. See, because folk are watching you. They know your story. They know if you've been faithful. They know if you're a hard worker. They know your story. So they told this to Boaz. Boaz then goes up and says, he does a couple things. He tells her, I don't want you to go to anybody else's field. Keep coming here. We're going to take care of you. I've commanded my young men not to touch you, so you're going to be safe here. I've also made it so that all of the wonderful water that they are drawing for themselves, so that you don't have to worry about that, you can go and drink some of that water. So he's saying, you got safety, you got water. Then he goes and talks to his folk. He said, now, you see this young woman who's coming, who's working in the field so diligently to support her mother-in-law, trying to gather up the few gleanings. He says, I want you to just leave for her some handfuls of blessings, of barley, of crops and materials. I want you to leave it for her on purpose, so that as she's gleaning in the field, she'll just happen upon it and get blessed. I remember I was listening to Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he had this wonderful message where he was talking about how nothing just happens. Even though we're talking about how she happened on everything and it seemed like it's by chance in her mind. And he began to say that God had this thing all planned. God was working all the time. You see, because if everything that happened in Naomi and Ruth's life had not happened, they wouldn't be where they are in that time of the story. They would still be in Moab if that stuff hadn't happened. God had to get them from Moab back to Israel. He had to position and reposition Ruth so that she made a divine connection with Boaz, so that Boaz can see her there working. Because the connection of Ruth and Boaz was also important. So in order to make that happen, Elimelech had to die. Not only did Elimelech have to die, Ruth's husband had to die, Mahlon. And to make it so that we understand, so that the other brother didn't try to step up and say, I'll take on another wife, he had to die as well. So now God left Naomi in a position where she had to come to the realization, I need to go back to my people. Now, initially you just think, I'm going through hell right now. Times are rough. I seem like I'm losing everything. And God said, hold on. You see, in Romans 8:28, you know, the one that we like to quote, where it starts saying all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. God starts saying, I'm going to work these things together for your good. He didn't say all things would be good, but he said, I'm going to work them together for your good. So as she's experiencing all of her hardship, all of the pain, the loss of loved ones, God says, don't worry. As long as you keep me in your heart and mind, I'm going to work it together for your good. I have a purpose for you. There's a purpose in your pain. He's saying, just hold on. Don't quit. It says, I'm going to use this not only to benefit you, but to benefit others. The pain that Naomi experienced, the pain that Ruth experienced, All of that pain that they went through, God not only used it to benefit them, but to benefit the whole nation of Israel. Because now understand that when Ruth got noticed by Boaz, Ruth went back and told Naomi, you know, I just happened on this field, and the man who owned the field is this guy named Boaz, and he told me not to go anywhere else, and told me to keep coming to his field and take care of me. And look, I done came back. See how full my basket is, and I got all this stuff. And Naomi then said, you know, Boaz is a near kinsman. She started thinking, God dropped in her heart and mind what to tell her. Naomi started functioning as a mentor. And she told her daughter, I want you to have rest. I want you to have peace. I want you to have somebody who's going to take care of you. Let me tell you what you should do. And Naomi gave Ruth the plan of how she should find Boaz and basically ask him to perform the duties of a kinsman, redeemer. Had her with the plan of how she would go in and lay by his feet and uncover his feet and sort of position herself so that he would see her. She gave Ruth the plan. Ruth had no better sense than to follow instructions given to her by her mentor, by her elder. As a result of Ruth following instructions, Boaz purposed in his heart that, yes, I know your story. Yes, I've seen you working. Yes, I've noticed you and I've tried to provide for you. And now that you have brought this to my attention, I want you to know I've been looking into this already. There is somebody who's a little nearer to you in terms of a kinsman than I am. We're going to try to get him to perform his duty. But if he don't, understand I will do everything that a kinsman redeemer should do. And I will take care of and buy everything that Elimelech had and all of his boys had. And I will take you on and marry you as my wife. He was going to be her redeemer. Someone who took care of her and took care of the debt. Ruth goes through this process. As a result of the process and as a result of her being maneuvered and repositioned, God blessed it so where the other kinsmen wouldn't perform the duty. Boaz performed it. Not only did he perform it, he married Ruth. Ruth now owns the very land that she was once trying to go in and glean in. The very field is now Ruth's field. All of a sudden, the mother-in-law gets blessed because Boaz performs the task of a kinsman redeemer and gives her the wealth that she's entitled to as a result of him buying the land of Elimelech. Naomi is now blessed. Her daughter-in-law finds a new husband, and then her daughter-in-law, as a result of her connection to Boaz, gives birth to a son whose name is Obed. Now, Obed was the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of David, who became king of Israel. So here it is, because of her being faithful and because of her holding on and not quitting, she goes from being a widow who seemed to have no hope, no prospects, who was thinking that all of a sudden God is not with me. She goes from being a widow to being the grandmother of the king. God starts saying, you don't know. I'm working in your situation. I'm working this together for your good. Hold on. Don't quit. You don't see it right now. You sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. All we see is what's directly in front of us. And God says, I got a big view. I'm seeing a bigger picture. You got to go through this right now. Because if Elimelech doesn't die, I can't get Ruth to hook up with Boaz. Now understand that Ruth now with Boaz is in the very line and lineage not only of King David and King Solomon and all of the kings. She's in the line and lineage of Christ himself, Lord of lords and King of kings. God starts saying, I need her to get repositioned. Sometimes trouble comes just to move you to where you need to go. Because some of us don't move until it gets uncomfortable enough, till it hurts enough, till the pain is great enough, where we start saying, there got to be something else. There got to be a better way. I need to move. God moved Naomi and Ruth. And throughout it all, she had to hold on and not quit. She felt like quitting. She wanted to. She got to a place where it seemed like Naomi was getting bitter. That's why she said, don't even call me Naomi anymore. But you got to understand that your trials and your tests come not to make you bitter, but better. If you would just utilize what it is that God puts in your place or puts in your path and say, this is an opportunity for me to use everything that God has already poured into my life, all of the talents and all of the gifts he's blessed me with. Somehow I'm supposed to use that stuff in this situation. God won't let anything come upon you that you have not been prepared to handle. You see, he says, I know my thoughts towards you. They are thoughts that are good, thoughts to prosper you, and to bring you to an expected end. If you couldn't handle it, he wouldn't let it come upon you. He promised, let me say that again. He promised not to put more on you than you can bear. So if it came upon you, understand you can handle it. So you have to say, Lord, help me to endure. Help me to handle it. Don't let me just quit and throw up my hands. Whatever it is I'm supposed to learn in the midst of this. However I'm supposed to develop, whatever talent and skill I'm supposed to use, help me to use the skills that you put in me. God has gifted you. He's gifted each and every one of you with special talents and special giftings. And all of those talents are to be used in the different life situations that come upon you. See, many of us, we don't use our talents. We let them lie dormant. They go untapped, unused. Only thing we worried about is, what can I immediately do to make a couple of dollars? We doing stuff we ain't got no business doing. God says, I've already given you some talents. If you would use the talent that I've given you and that I've blessed you with, it'll prosper you. If you would just simply find your purpose, I'll bless you and prosper you once you begin working in purpose. You see, Ruth, she got blessed when she found her purpose. Her purpose was to hook up with Boaz and ultimately bring about the king. While she was just not in her purpose, she had the difficulties and the struggles. But those difficulties and struggles moved her to purpose. So you got to start saying, Lord, what am I supposed to be doing? Where am I supposed to be working? Where am I supposed to be? Help me to find my purpose so I can achieve what you have for me to achieve. Don't have me quit moving towards my purpose. Don't have me be like that guy mining for gold and throw up my hands just when I'm getting ready to break through and strike gold. Don't have me just give up a moment too soon. Help me to endure, because I'll reap if I don't faint. I'll be successful if I don't quit. If I just don't stop. But whatever you've given me to do, he starts saying, do it. Sow the seed. Sow it in the morning. Sow it in the evening. You don't know which of it's going to prosper. You just keep working. You start saying, child, I have done that time and time again. Lord says, if I told you to do it, keep doing it. There is something to be said about perseverance. You got to say, Lord, help me to hold out and endure until the end. Don't let me get complacent. Don't let me think that it's enough. Even as I get older, more mature, don't let me get to a place in my life where I think, child, I done did my part. God says, if I still got you here, there's something for you to do. You have a purpose, so don't quit. Don't give up. Don't stop. We have some of our more senior citizens who get to a place where they just feel as if though I can stop now. And God says, hold on, don't quit. It's not time for you to stop. He says, I didn't create you to stop. I created you to fulfill purpose. I created you on purpose to fulfill purpose. I created you to work, to bring about my plan here in the earth. It's no time for you to stop. You just got to make sure that you're working on purpose. That you're working on what God purposed for you. Not that you're doing things that are irrelevant to your purpose. Because some of us, we busy. We're like Martha, running around doing a whole lot of stuff. And that's not what God wants you to do. And you upset that everybody ain't running around like you. And God starts saying, I ain't tell you to do all that running around like that. He said, only one thing was needful. She has chosen the best part. He says, you got to find what's needful. What God told you to do. Don't just simply say, I got to get busy. Be busy on purpose. Don't stop doing what God called you to do. Say, Lord, what did you call me to do? What do you want me to do? What's my purpose? How should I be working? Help me to achieve all that you have for me to achieve. I want to fulfill my God-given purpose, my God-given destiny. I want to reach my peak. Help me to do all that I'm supposed to do. Lord, make sure I don't want to quit. Keep me encouraged. Now, sometimes, since we're talking about David's lineage, sometimes you got to do like David. In the midst of all of your going through and all of your testing and all of the trials that you have to go through, sometimes you get discouraged. But you have to be like David and learn how to encourage yourself in the Lord. You have to be able to talk to yourself, speak life to yourself and say, God said he'd never leave me nor forsake me. I know my God is with me. God said that he was going to prosper my way. He said, beloved, I wished above all that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as your soul prosper. Lord, I believe that applies to me. You got to begin to encourage yourself. And start saying, this trouble's not going to last always. God's going to bring me out. He's going to bring me into a wealthy place. God starts saying, just hold on. Don't quit. He can handle it. You can handle it. If you couldn't handle it, he wouldn't have given it to you. Hold on. Don't quit. God's on your side. Hold on. That's the message that God gave me. Just hold on. Don't quit. Don't quit. Keep working. Keep working in purpose and on purpose. Keep working. Don't quit. Amen. Praise God.